Hello and welcome to yet another video in which I'm going to explain the markets, and the markets are part of the book Buying and Working of LWEO, and they're dealt with in chapter 6, and it's for both 3 HAVO and 3 VWO. Alright, so we're going to talk about markets. What are markets? Markets, you might know it from your town square where there is a market stand, and but markets in economics is the total of supply and demand for goods and services. There are all sorts of markets. The market, transfer markets for football players, for example. There's a market for football shoes, there's a market for ice creams, a market for solicitors, so that you have services. So there's all sorts of markets, but what they have in common is that they both deal with demand and supply. In economics, we like to simplify things in a way that we can make some predictions. Because in the market, when supply and demand meet, a certain price is established. And we're going to see how this price is established. So, first we are going to look at the supply. And the supply can be molded into a model in which I say QS, so the quantity supplied, equals 400p minus 500. Which means that the number of items that are supplied, yes, depends on the price alone. Normally, there's more factors that influence the demand and quantity. For example, for ice creams, there's more than just the price that determines the demand for ice creams. The temperature determines it as well. Yes, but here we say QS equals 400p minus 500. Yes? Then, the demand, the willingness to pay, for example, if you will. QD, so the number of items that are demanded, equals negative 200p plus 1000. The market that we're dealing here with is the geranium market. This is dealt with in the book as well, so I'm going to use it for my example as well. If you don't have the book, it's not a big deal, but you can use this example anyway. Alright, so the price is determined by the so-called equilibrium condition. And the equilibrium condition says if supply and demand are equal to each other, then the market is in equilibrium. So, what we are going to do in order to calculate the price is we say QS should equal QD. So, we write this down. QS was 400p minus 500, which should equal negative 200p plus 1000. So, QS equals QD. Well, if all things went well, you learned in mathematics, if you transfer this to here, the negative becomes a positive, so 400p plus 200p equals 1000 plus 500, because this negative becomes a positive here as well. Then 600p equals 1500, and p is 250, so €2.50. So the price that is eventually set on this market for one geranium is €2.50. Well, if we have the equilibrium price, we could also calculate the equilibrium quantity, because now we can calculate how many products, how many geraniums in this case, will eventually be sold on the market. Well, QS, I fill the P in either or both the equations. So QS is 400 times P, 250, minus 500. So that's 1000 minus 500 gives us 500 geraniums. QD for the same thing, you fill it in, so negative 200, yes, so 200 times P, 250, is negative 500 plus 1,000 is 500. So the turnover on this market is quantity times price. So 500 times 250 equals 1,250 euros. Yes? Alright, so in a test, teachers often ask you to draw the lines as well. So how should one draw this line? I prepared it already. So what you do is for either of the equation, you just come up with a P and then you determine the Q. So, for example, the demand curve is negative 200p plus 1,000. So what I say is, suppose that the P is 4 euros. I fill it in, so that means negative 200 times 4 is negative 800 plus 1,000 is 200. So 4 euros, 200 quantity. I do that for 3 euros as well, so a negative 600 plus 1,000 is 400, and for 1 euro, suppose the P is 1 euro, then negative 200 plus 1,000 gives us 800. Yes, so I got 3 points. I actually only need 2 points, but just to make sure that I'm doing it right, I take 3 points. So the third one is just to check myself. So, and then I draw a line through these 3 points, like this. So this is the demand curve. Yes, in Dutch the demand is vraag, and if you take a look at this, so the first part of the letter V of vraag, we see from the upper left hand side to the lower right hand side. Yes? So now we are going to draw the supply curve. Same thing. What I do is I imagine a few prices. So suppose that the price is 2 euros and I fill it in the supply line. So 400 times 2 gives us 800, minus 500 is 300 with the quantity. So 2 euros, 300. I do that for 3 as well, 3 euros. So 1,200 minus 500 gives us 700, so here. And 4 euros, so 1,600 minus 500 gives us 1,100, so that's here. So there's a line going from there to there as well. So this is the supply line. Dutch word for supply is aanbod. If you take a look at the first part of the first letter, it goes from the lower left-hand side to the upper right-hand side. So, I told you that in the equilibrium condition, the highest possible turnover is achieved. Yes, we see that here is the equilibrium as well. So where the two lines meet is the equilibrium. Suppose that the price is 2 euros. Yes, then the total number that would be supplied is 300. The total number that is demanded is 600. So eventually only 200 will be sold, because that is the willingness to supply. Gives us 6,000 euros, 600 euros, sorry, which is less than the 12.50. Suppose the price is higher than the equilibrium, suppose 3 euros, then the people only want to buy 400, and there are 700 supplied. So eventually only 400 are sold, so the turnover is 1,200. So you see that there's no other alternative that gives us a higher turnover. Yes? Right. Hopefully you understood a bit more about supply and demand. So you see that supply has its own curve. The equilibrium condition, QS equals QT. Yes, turnover is the quantity times the price, and here, where the two meet, is the equilibrium price and quantity. Yes? Alright, so I saw that a lot of you viewed my videos without being subscribed, so if you go to the right corner at the bottom. Then you can subscribe so that you can see when I finish some new videos, and have a look at my videos as well, because I'm going to add some tests to the video so you can check whether you got it or not. So, and hopefully I will see you back soon.